Dubai authorities have begun cracking down on people who record or share images of the attacks online.
Anyone photographing or filming the incidents could be arrested. Just like the 60 people who, according to France television sources, are currently in police custody in Dubai.
And as many as 70 Britons could have been locked up in there for taking photographs and videos of drone and missile attacks.
What would you do if you looked up and saw missiles crossing the sky above your hotel? Most people anywhere in the world would do exactly what a 60-year-old British tourist did in Dubai on the 9th of March, 2026. He pulled out his phone and filmed it. He deleted the video the moment an officer told him to. He cooperated immediately. He meant no harm. He was still charged under cybercrime laws, carrying a minimum of 2 years in prison and a fine of 200,000 dirhams, which is approximately $54,000. That is the story this video is about. Not just about one man. About what it means when a city decides that the most dangerous thing you can do during a war is let the world see it. The numbers kept climbing after that. 21 people charged in the first 2 weeks of March, to then 109 arrested in a single enforcement action on the 20th of March, the largest cybercrime crackdown in UAE history. Then reports from advocacy organizations suggesting the real figure was in the several hundreds, with groups of 35, 45, and 60 people detained simultaneously across multiple emirates. A Filipina domestic worker arrested near the Burj Al Arab Tower for taking a photo while waiting for work. A Russian tourist who shared footage privately in a messaging group, believing that only public posting was restricted, detained, and his devices seized. A Vietnamese seafarer arrested upon arrival in Dubai for photos he had taken while his vessel was still outside UAE territorial waters. A man who filmed a fire in a car park escalated to state security, and his family reporting denial of medication and severe detention conditions. These are not combatants. These are the people Dubai built its entire economy to attract. To understand why this matters so much, you have to understand what Dubai was selling before any of this happened. The product was not sunshine. It was not luxury. It was not even tax efficiency, though that was part of it. The product was certainty. Dubai positioned itself with extraordinary discipline and extraordinary investment as the one place in an unstable region where the rules were predictable, where your money was safe, where your lifestyle was protected, and where the geopolitical chaos engulfing the neighborhood simply did not reach you. That was the value proposition, a kind of sovereign-grade insurance policy written in glass and steel. Hundreds of thousands of professionals from Europe, North America, South Asia, and East Asia relocated their lives there based on that premise. Millions of tourists arrived each year because the marketing was consistent and the safety record was genuine. And for a long time, it worked. Dubai International Airport processed 95.2 million passengers in 2025, according to its own figures, making it the busiest international hub on Earth. The pitch had never been more convincing. And then Iran fired more than 438 ballistic missiles, 2,012 drones, and 19 cruise missiles at targets across the UAE between the 1st of March and the 1st of April 2026. The product broke. And when a product breaks, you find out very quickly what the company really is. Here is where the numbers become impossible to look away from. The UAE Ministry of Defense confirmed that, since the start of the conflict, 12 people have been killed and 188 injured across 29 different nationalities. 6 people were killed in the first weeks alone from Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and Palestine. None of them were Emirati. That detail matters, and we will return to it. More than 1,800 drones and missiles had been launched at the UAE by mid-March, according to the Defense Ministry's own public statements. The Abu Dhabi police confirmed the arrest of 109 people of various nationalities in a single joint statement issued by the Attorney General and the Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship on the 20th of March. And the British advocacy group Dubai Watch confirmed that at least 35 British nationals were held in Dubai, and a similar number in Abu Dhabi at that point, with the total number of detained British citizens eventually reported to be around 70. Qatar, according to Rada Sterling, the chief executive of Detained in Dubai, had already charged more than 200 people under similar laws since the conflict began. The penalties under UAE cybercrime law reach up to 10 years in prison and fines equivalent to $270,000. The British Foreign Office issued a formal travel advisory warning against recording and sharing images of damage. The Australian government advised its citizens to leave the UAE entirely or avoid transiting through it. These are not the communications of a country successfully projecting calm. Now let's be precise about something, because this is the part the UAE government actually wants you to think about carefully. Their argument is not irrational on its face. The UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that recording and disseminating military operations poses a direct threat to national security and could reveal the locations, engagement patterns, and capabilities of air defense systems to an adversary. They pointed out that Western nations, including the United States, imposed similar restrictions on wartime photography during the Gulf War and the Iraq War. That argument has some legal and strategic logic behind it. This dual 34-year-old British tourist whose TikTok video showing interceptor missiles launched from behind Dubai Marina high-rises accumulated 2.3 million views before TikTok removed it at the UAE government's request. That video genuinely showed the approximate location and engagement behavior of air defense batteries. One can construct a serious case for restricting that specific category of content. The problem is that the crackdown did not stop there. Not even close. A Filipina domestic worker waiting outside the Burj Al Arab, a man filming a fire in a car park, a Russian tourist sharing footage in a private messaging group, a seafarer photographing what he saw from international waters. These cases do not fit the national security rationale. They fit a different rationale entirely. The rationale of a brand in crisis that cannot afford witnesses. This is not conjecture. Catherine Grotha, a senior research analyst at Freedom House, said explicitly that manipulating online content, arresting social media users, and issuing restrictive media guidelines all fit the UAE government's long-standing effort to control the narrative online. She added that the restrictions not only distort reality, but could encourage self-censorship and hinder people's ability to access accurate information about the conflict. Rata Sterling, whose organization has been monitoring cases in the UAE for years and who functions as an expert witness on Gulf legal systems, said that the charges sound extremely vague but serious on paper, and that in reality the alleged conduct could be something as simple as sharing or commenting on a video already circulating widely online. She also documented something that reveals the selective nature of enforcement with particular clarity. An influencer with 300,000 followers was told simply to delete a video and post a correction. Others filming the same street events were arrested. Sterling described this as an interesting contrast and noted that celebrities have long been afforded protected status in the UAE. The law, in other words, is being applied with discretion. And the direction of that discretion tells you a great deal about what the law is actually for. Now let's talk about who is absorbing the consequences of this, because the impact is not uniform across Dubai's three-tiered population structure, and that stratification is essential to understanding what is actually happening. At the top of the pyramid sit the ultra-wealthy, the family office clients, the sovereign wealth fund managers, the billionaires whose primary asset in Dubai is legal flexibility and fiscal optimization. For this group, the arrests are not the central concern. Their lawyers handle it. Their embassies make calls. Their assets are structured across jurisdictions precisely to avoid concentration risk. The reputational damage to Dubai matters to them as an investment thesis question, not as a personal legal threat. They are reviewing their exposure. Some are quietly diversifying towards Singapore or Riyadh, but they are not the ones being put in overcrowded cells with 50 to 60 people and denied medication. The middle tier saw the professional expats who moved to Dubai for the salary packages and the lifestyle and the dream of building something. These are the people the arrests are hitting hardest in terms of psychological impact. They are the ones described by community leaders as living in an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. They are deleting videos from their phones, leaving WhatsApp groups where war-related content was being shared, self-censoring in ways they never anticipated when they signed their employment contracts. The Cooper-Fitch salary data and Hayes Gulf Cooperation Council surveys had already documented salary stagnation in real terms throughout 2024 and 2025, while rents climbed by 40%. This population was already running a negative cost-benefit calculation. The arrests have not created that calculation, and they have simply made it legible. And at the base of the pyramid, the migrant workers from South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, who built every structure that appears in Dubai's promotional materials, they are the most exposed and the least protected. The kafala sponsorship system that binds their legal status to their employers means they cannot leave even if they want to. With construction projects stalled and wages going unpaid, the International Labor Organization's longstanding documentation of wage theft and unsafe conditions in Gulf labor markets is no longer an abstract concern. It is the daily reality of hundreds of thousands of people with no legal recourse and no embassy making calls on their behalf. Here is the structural reality that the arrests both reveal and accelerate. Dubai's cybercrime law, Federal Decree Law number 34 of 2021, was not written for wartime. It was written to manage Dubai's image in peacetime. It prohibits publishing or sharing material that could disturb public security, a phrase so broad that its application is entirely discretionary. That discretion has always existed. What is new is the scale and speed of its deployment, and the visibility of that deployment to the international audience Dubai most needs to retain. Rada Sterling's report from Detained in Dubai documented that lawyers are refusing to represent cases classified under the national security framework, that embassies are being denied access or given restricted access, that detainees are being required to sign statements in Arabic on tablets, that sleep deprivation exceeding 48 hours has been reported, and that conditions involve overcrowded cells with no adequate food or medical care. These are not the conditions of a legal system processing routine violations. These are the conditions of a system prioritizing suppression over process. And every detail that escapes, and details are escaping, because this is 2026 and information does not stay contained, every detail that emerges does more damage to the product Dubai is trying to protect than the original footage ever could have done. The honest perspective question is whether Dubai can recover from this and what recovery actually means in this context. The operational recovery is already underway. Airlines are resuming routes. The UAE president appeared publicly at Dubai Mall with his defense minister for a widely circulated state media photograph designed to project normalcy. The intercept rate for incoming missiles has been high enough that large-scale civilian casualties have been avoided. These are not trivial achievements. Dubai has absorbed serious shocks before. The population decline of 2020 was followed by record numbers 2 years later. The financial crisis of 2008, which genuinely threatened to collapse the real estate sector, eventually passed. The resilience is documented and real. But there is a difference between operational recovery and the recovery of trust, and that difference is precisely what the arrests have made so much harder to bridge. Trust in Dubai as a destination was built on the proposition that its rules were predictable, and that if you played by those rules, you were protected. A 60-year-old tourist who deleted a video immediately when asked and was still charged, is the opposite of that proposition made flesh. A Vietnamese seafarer arrested for photos taken in international waters is the opposite of that proposition made flesh. These cases do not say Dubai is unsafe. They say Dubai's rules are not what you thought they were. And for the professional expat calculating whether to renew a lease, for the business traveler deciding whether to route through Dubai or Singapore, for the family thinking about whether to take a holiday there, that calculation has changed in a way that a state media photograph at a coffee shop cannot fully undo. What would actually change the trajectory is something much harder than image management. It would require the UAE to draw a genuine legal distinction between content that creates operational intelligence for adversaries and content that simply documents civilian experience of a war. It would require transparent due process for the hundreds of people currently in detention. It would require the kind of accountability that is structurally very difficult for a government that has built its model on controlling narrative. Whether that happens or not, the episode has already taught the world something Dubai spent billions trying to prevent anyone from learning. The certainty was always a performance. The product was always contingent. And when the contingency arrived, the first thing the system reached for was not protection. It was silence. If you have lived in Dubai, or if you were planning to move there, Or if you have been watching the situation develop and wondering what it tells us about how governments manage crisis and perception in the social media era, leave your thoughts below. The conversation happening in the comments sections of every story covering this is as revealing as the story itself. And if this kind of analysis, grounded in what the documents actually say and what the cases actually show, is what you are looking for, you know what to do.